The reason we can say that there is no God primarily is that there is no experience of God directly, regardless of whether or not someone else can describe or give a personal first-hand account of a vision or a trance or a dream or some sort of apparent immediate first-hand experience. That's not true for everyone. So I have never experienced God. I've only experienced self-awareness. When I was religious and I embarked on the discipline of sanctification in the Christian faith expressed in Presbyterianism at the final part of my journey in that arena, whenever I prayed, I was the only one who heard my prayers. Especially when I was praying in the closet, as Jesus would teach his disciples. No one else was there listening. No one else heard me but me. And I had been directed all of my life to search for and seek, right? Ask, seek, knock, and the door shall be open unto you. Seek and you shall find. Ask and you shall receive. Right? I never experienced any of that reciprocity, ever. Especially in the arena of praying to save my marriage. Why would I want to save my marriage? Because I love, notice I didn't put it in the past tense, my ex-wife. She was to be my soulmate. She was to be my partner. And there is a, I don't know what you would want to call it, just this attachment that, you know, oh, you always remember your first love, or you always remember whatever. You know, she wasn't my first love. She wasn't my first lay, but she was my first wife. And I deeply cared about her as a person, but it was a relationship of conflict. And I don't like conflict. I don't like conflict. And it took me forever to figure out this woman loves conflict. She starts fights. But enough of those tumultuous memories. My point is that I had to come to the realization that the only being, the only entity that was going to save me was me. So, you know, you're praying and asking God, oh God, help me to love my wife, help me to, you know, and it's like, it's all a reflection of the dogma of humanity's condition or state of being for the historic Christian tradition. Humanity does not have the ability to improve itself. The self cannot improve itself. There is a fundamental flaw within the human, and the issue is, like, who told you that? A book. Now, that's not to say that it's not empirical, that one could observe and experience the failures and faults of others. But to say that there is an intrinsic, organic, and essential flaw called sin that prevents a person from desiring, right? You don't even desire God. You don't even love God without God's prevenient grace or efficacious grace. And so those words shape your psychology as soon as you start hearing this stuff from as young as you are or as young as you were. For me, I was 8 years old, and I heard that I was a sinner, and I was in need of a Savior, and Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins, and if I didn't trust in that provision, that act of love of God, then I would suffer in hell forever. Okay? Now, I'm being a little bit, flippant with the presentation right now, but ultimately, but that's, the basic idea. The only reason you need Jesus is because there's a place called hell, or there's a God who hates sin. And there was never any proof. There was only a story, and a story of a story of a story of alleged stories, And I don't even know how I could, pull that wool over anybody's eyes at this point in my life. I would have no idea how to tell this lie, because it's absolutely insane to read the Bible the way most people think it should be read, which is literally. But I want to go back to the whole aspect of being and the capacity of the human to change. The only enemy that you have is you. The only savior that you have is you. And those cartoons that we see of angels and devils on the shoulders of people in a moral dilemma, that's them having an internal struggle. The one voice sounds just like the other voice. I mean, I don't even know how to understand the woman who allegedly says that she has a feeling for her gut and a feeling for her heart, and a voice for her gut and a voice for her heart and a voice for her mind. Like, she has different voices in her head. I don't hear voices in my head. I just have thoughts that are not audible. They're all zeros and ones, right? But it's my thought. And I began to understand that prayer was really just psychoanalysis. You're just talking to yourself, talking out loud to self, hearing what you're saying. That doesn't make any sense. That sounds idiotic. That's a good plan. The whole thing, the venture that I'm on right now, again, for the umpteenth time, is improving my health. And I am my own worst enemy. So what do I have to do? I have to overcome those thoughts of returning to the mire of unhealthy eating, of drinking too much alcohol in terms of my health and weight. I'm not an alcoholic in the sense that I don't get drunk. You know what I mean? I don't get blind. I don't even get even close to being drunk. I don't like it, but I like alcohol, or the sugar that it produces once it's in my system. That's what the addiction is. It's not alcohol, it's sugar. So, I've had 2 weeks of dry, confidence and commitment. And then my demon voice says, oh man, you know what? God damn, a drink would be so good right now. And then I just go, yep, it would. And I drink. You know what I mean? I don't even put up a fight. Sometimes I do, and then sometimes I don't. It's so weird and interesting to think about the psychology of, abstaining from something, and then your thought comes in and goes, it's not that big a deal. You're like, yeah, you're right, no big deal. Because it's you. And you wouldn't lie to you, of course, would you? Then what is that thing inside of you that tells you lies about yourself? You can't do this. You're not good enough. You're just going to fail again. How do you overcome that voice? How do you overcome and remain vigilant against that voice again? Because I'm at that point right now. Like, I've eliminated these things from my life. When that voice comes up again, how many times will I be successful in pressing it down? Right? Because that's what you have to do. You just have to push through. You just have to ignore it. It's that whole thing of when you're angry, you feel like you're going to get, physical, or if you're going to scream or whatever, just count to 10. No. Count to 100, or count from 100 backwards. And do that until you make it to 1. It's just almost just like holding your breath and ignoring the demon that's walking by and hoping it doesn't hear you breathe. And hoping it'll just go away and leave you the fuck alone. So there's that.